John and his colleagues have pieced together what seems to be nothing less than an ancient genetic route map.
A few years ago, a friend of mine called me up and told me that they had just identified DNA from an ancient jawbone found in southern Alaska, in a cave in southern Alaska. What's so fascinating is this is a rare type of DNA. It's only found among 2% of American Indians.
When John compared the DNA from the ancient jawbone with modern samples from across the two continents, he noticed a pattern.
Okay, we have here in southern Alaska the original DNA from the jaw. Then we have the Chumash Indians that live in this part of California. We've also found this type in northwest Mexico. We found it among the Cayapa Indians in coastal Ecuador. We've also found it among the Mapuche Indians in southern Chile, among the Yagan people of southern Patagonia, and here in prehistoric burials in Tierra del Fuego.
All the way down the Pacific coast?
Primarily Pacific coastal in distribution.
So for you, does this really clinch it? Does this mean that there was a coastal dispersal?
I think this is the best evidence to date, indirect evidence of an ancient coastal migration, that this particular group gradually moved down the Pacific coast, taking advantage of coastal resources, and left behind descendants today who still live in all of these areas.
It feels as if the great mystery of this, our last human journey, is resolved. Looking at all these strands of evidence then, it seems the most likely route taken by the first Americans was not down through the ice sheets, as many archaeologists used to think, but all the way down along the Pacific coast of the Americas. We can imagine those first pioneers paddling along the edge of the ice some 17,000 years ago, and their descendants moving down along the coast, reaching the southernmost tip of the Americas within just a couple of thousand years. With a foothold in this new world, the first Americans flourished here until eventually, some 15,000 years later, they were to come face to face with some distant members of their family tree. In 1492, a small group of European explorers arrived on the shores of the Americas, where they were met by bewildered locals. Even though both groups were branches of that original exodus from Africa some 70,000 years ago, the Europeans didn't see the inhabitants of America as long-lost cousins, but rather as wild, savage, even unhuman. And the Native Americans saw those strange visitors as deities possessed of supernatural powers. They just didn't recognize each other. Over the next 400 years or so, this physical and cultural divide would help fuel the slaughter of the native people. Even conservative estimates run into hundreds of thousands dead. A tragedy which seems so much more senseless in light of what we now know about our human story. Our origins in Africa, the journeys our ancestors made, and the close genetic bond we all share. The differences between us all are really just superficial. We're all members of a young species that goes back less than 200,000 years, and we're all surprisingly closely related. This is the story that has emerged from the study of stones, bones, and our genes, that wherever we've ended up, all over the world, we are Africans under the skin. And uncovering that story, retracing the steps of our ancestors, has given me a profound sense of our common humanity, our shared past, and our shared future.
And that was the final part of the incredible human journey to date. Tomorrow night, join us for the last part of our series looking at the exotic and enchanting South Pacific, here on BBC HD at 8.